Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Ask Muso podcast. We've changed things slightly for this week's episode. It is, for anyone who's local to this place we call home, it's so hot in sunny Queensland right now. So we've done the only thing that's smart, and that's put it in the aircon space. So I've got Sam across from me here, but I'm not gonna do much of an intro. I want to let him take it all the way. He is the 3-year project. He's the man behind it. For any of you who've heard that or familiar with what it's all about, I'll let him explain it more. But Sam, g'day mate. Welcome to my space, and kick us off, man. Where do you want to begin?
Hey, good afternoon, Bailey. Thank you so much for having me on the show. So yeah, let me tell you about the 3-year project. So the 3-year project started in July last year. Yep. Okay. And it all started, I had pains in my finger, believe it or not, in my index finger.
Yeah.
And I went to the doctors and they said, you've got arthritis in there. So it was like, oh, this is no good.
Yeah.
So a couple of weeks later, I was in New Zealand and I saw an open mic night being advertised, and I borrowed someone else's guitar, sang a few songs, and absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I used to write lots of songs. And fumbled my way through these songs, and it really brought back some really nice memories around these songs, the meaning, what was happening in my life back then. And I've just felt, well, it's probably not time to give up music, and unfortunately it's either now or never.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So didn't really think much of it when I was in New Zealand, apart from when I was driving out towards the airport. I saw a car bumper sticker, and on this car bumper sticker it says, one day, or day one. And I thought, do you know what? Now is going to be that one day moment.
Yeah, I love that. Okay.
So, yeah.
Because
So
I love that message, because I've seen that around, and I wasn't sure if it's something you coined or if it's something you stumbled upon, but that idea is, it sits in that same thing as like the best day to start yesterday and the second best day is today.
Yeah.
And that whole thing, I love that. It's like either this is just a dream or we've started now.
Yeah.
It's so where to from there, I guess.
So then it was like, well, I know I wanted to do something with music, but I didn't know what. Okay. So for the next couple of weeks, I was talking to my friends, talking to various people, and really just deciding, well, what do I want to do? I can do a covers band, I could do all sorts of things. I could be a dad's band, and it'll just fizzle out. The kind of person who I am, I need a really big project and something to really get my teeth into.
Yep.
And then I thought, well, I want to aim big. I want to climb Mount Everest. So my Everest is being on the Glastonbury stage, on the pyramid stage, and I wanted to do it in a time frame which is really challenging, but not too far away where I can't give it a good shot and get burnt out by it.
Yeah.
So I thought, right, I'm going to do 3 years. I'm going to dedicate my life to this 3 years and then just aim for Glastonbury. And everything, all the needles are pointing to the North Star, which is getting to Glastonbury.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So that's the thing. You've got the map. It's now just about figuring out how to traverse all the different things on it, because you know exactly where you want to be.
Yes. So then it was, obviously, the band name and everything was quite obvious, the 3-year project and everything around that. So I was thinking, well, how do I get from where I am now, which is basically a toddler, okay, which has not played music for 20 years, right the way to climbing Everest? So what are them stepping stones? Yep. How can I map this out, and what's the thought process? I didn't play guitar for probably 2 years prior to that open night. So all my segs on my fingers and everything was just so raw, and everything. Learning my new song, well, my old songs, and again, all that lot again. And it was just a real big wake-up call for me.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
So then I split it down into basically quarters and going, okay, then by the end of this year, what do I want to achieve? And firstly, it was like, I want to get a band together.
Yeah.
But I don't want my mates. I want to get the best band what I possibly can.
Yep.
So let's get session musicians. And then let's rehearse in a studio, and then we can record everything what we do, and I can learn as quickly as possible. So almost doing like an agile project where you're continuously learning every single time.
Yeah.
And then just using that really is really the datum of where I am this week, and then next week I need to be a bit better, and then the week after I need to get a bit better, and then just building upon these little pillars, which I was creating.
Like that 1% better every time, which I think it's not probably like, as someone that rehearses regularly with different people, it's like often the goal is, okay, what were the gaps in our last show? What are we trying to fill in for next time? Some new music. Where are we at with this other thing, etc., etc. It's not, okay, guys, we know what the project is. We know what the goal is. We just need to get 1 or 2 or 3% better. And because it's all about the big picture. And I think that's such a unique experience, both for them and for you, to get in the room and be like, okay, guys, well, we don't need to talk about what shows are coming up and stuff. We know exactly what our goals are. We know what's set out. And well, how do we make it happen this week? What are we aiming to do today or this week, you know?
So then what I did was then go, okay, then when I was younger, I used to just religiously write songs. And songs was my get out, okay, in what was going on in my life. And back then, I could just write a song about absolutely anything. I could watch a TV program, pause a TV, write a song around what happened just in the last 15 minutes.
Okay, cool. Yes,
so I was so addicted to writing and expressing and basically cleanse my soul writing these songs. And I came quite good at it, okay, and it was quite fluent in writing. But it absorbed everything about me. So when I was younger, I used to listen to music and I used to listen to my favourite songs and think of it like a recipe, like a chef. So I would hear all these little bits of ingredients and go, right, well, that's a secret sauce for that song and that's what really makes this song tick.
Yeah, okay.
Put that in my back pocket and then same with a different song and same with a different song. And it changed the way what I listened to music completely. It spoilt it for a while.
I get that.
Because it was just trying to learn and educate myself what the secret sauce is for each one of these songs. And then replicate that in all different ways and using bits of this and bits of that and bits of this and then create my own songs associated with them. So writing songs for me was just like painting a picture. I used to absolutely love just writing. I used to feel amazing once I wrote the song. I didn't care if anybody listened to it. It was mine. It was something which I enjoyed painting. And then I used to paint, equivalent of writing, and then just put them in my closet.
Yeah.
And I probably wrote 150 songs.
Okay.
And really just enjoyed. Didn't really want anyone else to listen to them. Didn't want...
It was for you.
It was for me.
Yeah,
only for me. And then I released 2 albums because I wanted to have something to show the grandkids when I was older.
I like that. Yeah.
And then did nothing with them for 20 years.
Okay.
So I can probably remember 70 songs.
So where did they go? So where are these 2 albums? Where did they go?
So in the UK, the first album which I did 10 copies, and I've only got 2 copies available now. So that's it for them songs. Okay. And then the second album, I did 500, and then I think I sold potentially 300.
Okay.
I think I binned 200 because I weren't really advertising or doing anything with them.
They're just taking up space.
Just taking up space. And then, I've probably got 10 of them available now. That's all. But I numbered them all 1 to 500. So they're completely numbered and for every single one. So if we do get to Glastonbury, I think them CDs are going to be worth quite a bit of money. You know?
So was that Sam? Is that
That was Sam Holden.
Okay, so just that. And it was just you on a guitar?
No, so I went to when I was 16, I probably started writing songs when I was 14 or 15. And then I started recording my first album when I was 16.
Okay.
I remember because I couldn't drive and I had to get my singing coach to drive me there to then to do it. So I finished that first album when I was 18.
Yep.
And then I went to Glastonbury, and we'll talk about that later on.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I finished my second album when I was 21.
Okay, yeah.
And then just shut the door on it. Just the project was finished.
Because I just think about the amount of life between... I was having this conversation with someone the other day. The life between 16 and 21, those 5 years compared to 21 and 26. And it's just like the amount of changes with you. Like, obviously, a lot of life happens and stuff, between... I can think about me from 21 to 26, but the difference between 16 to 21 and being a minor and being of age and all these things and adult responsibilities and I'm a grown-up and I can drive a car and all the life things. It's crazy that you got to 21, you did this, you had another go at it, you had a bat and went, and that'll do me.
Yeah, that's what crazy. It was. And just life got in the way. We went, me and my wife, now we went travelling. Okay, and my careers took off, and we'll potentially talk about that later on too. So one thing what I do know is what my emotions now are like that, okay? But when I was 16 to 21, my emotions were like this. Okay,
Yeah.
so my writing capacity and the feelings, what I was feeling, is far, so extreme than what they would ever be now.
Yeah, of course.
I could never write the songs or even think about writing the songs what I wrote back then. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it was a different season of your life, and
Different
you
season.
had this emotional inflation of just such a range.
But I was such a shy, meek guy who didn't want to perform, didn't want to do anything. I wasn't.
Okay,
I'm a different person now.
that explains the lack of like wanting to advertise it. You were happy to just do it for you. It was just for
me.
you.
Just
an outlet.
Just an outlet. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But make it the best I could possibly do. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
like, put my heart and soul into something and go, right, I just want to do this. And then once that's done, that's a project finished. And then I'll move on to something else.
But were you super one track on these things? It wasn't like, I've got this song and that's sitting at 80%. And I got another, who gives a shit about that now? I'm on to the new thing, that's at 80%, and then move on to the next. Or were you like, this is it, done, finished, box,
So
on to the next?
I knew, and again, I'm probably sounding a bit arrogant here, but I knew what these songs were really special. Well, they were really special to me because they brought back so many memories. And there was how I was feeling. And again, with thinking about it as a chef, I wanted to put my best serving
Of course.
for my album.
Yeah, of course.
So I wanted fast songs, I wanted slow songs, I wanted hidden songs, I wanted songs from the back of one song feeding into another
The next
song.
one, yep.
I wanted two songs together, which is talking about the same theme, but looking at it from different angles. And there's all different intricacies within that album. So like I made it as complicated as I possibly could and just give it my all for 3 years. And I dedicated all the money which I had, all the time I had, just to write the best album I could possibly do.
Okay.
But only for me, for nobody else.
Interesting. Do you still feel that it stands up like sonically and all that now to listen back to it?
Yeah, I look back and I go, wow, for me, and obviously I might be a bit biased because I've listened to it for so long. I go, yeah, these songs are pretty special still now.
That's fantastic. I think that's the beauty of music is it does take you back. Lots of things do, smells and visuals and pictures and stuff, but something about music to take you back to a time, especially when it's you singing about your stories.
Yeah.
And it just pulls you back there, no matter how many times, no matter how long in between drinks that it is that you've listened to it, it just suddenly pulls you straight back there.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, Jesus, I totally forgot about this and the season of the life that's so different now compared to where you were when you were 16.
Yeah. So, especially when I think it was like opening The Matrix, when I was playing them songs in New Zealand. I forgot half the lyrics and I just didn't really showcase, didn't probably do a very good job at all. But the feelings came flooding back.
Yeah.
I'm going, wow, okay. When I remember, I could almost see myself in a position where I was when I was writing that song. And then the lyrics and the meaning and everything around that just came flooding back. It was so good.
So that's fantastic.
So they're the two albums which we did. And there's a few of them songs which I've released recently for the 3-year project. Mm-hmm. So I think there's 9 if you go on Spotify or wherever.
Okay,
there's just 9. They were the best takes of probably 22 songs which I had. And there was really the datum for the 3-year project by saying, well, this is the baseline. This is where we left off 22 years ago.
I love that. Yeah. So it's like, okay, we're picking up where we left off.
And then what we'll do then is we'll get these session musicians and go, right then, this is what it was. How can we make this better? And how do we really make it, instead of it just being an album for listening, how do we make it a live album? How do we make it so people are going to dance and really have a good time around this? So we've changed some of them songs significantly.
Of course, yeah.
And we've kept it quite close to our chest. So, and then when you come and see us, you can see the transition between the songs which I did 20 years ago and then how special these session musicians have made them now, and how different they are. So it's been really good, and I've learned absolutely loads from these guys. Of course.
Well, let's go back to I suppose to that time. So what was the thematic nature behind you, I suppose, getting into music and songwriting as your outlet for whatever was going on in life as opposed to anything else? Like, why was it music that was your outlet?
I think I did a thing or a reel on this where I feel like music gets to you.
Yeah.
Where if I saw a picture on a wall or watch a film or do some type of other artistic creation, it wouldn't change your mood. It won't make you get up and dance. You won't watch the same film 15 times in a row and learn every single lyric. It won't bring you back to a time like music can.
Mm-hmm.
So music is so special. And when we think about what we're listening to, like the Beatles and the Stone Roses, or Elvis Presley or whatever, just go back any generation. There's these songs which define a generation far more than any other artist. So music was always special, always really intrigued me. Always thought, if I can just create that essence and that feeling for myself alone, wow, how special would that be?
Yeah, because I suppose you're fully in control of that, like, because there's not like, oh, well, I don't have the best, to go back to your painting analogy, I don't have the best brushes, I don't really have the money or the access to the paint. I've got some good ideas, but I don't really have the paper or what's required, or I don't have the best ability to get to ingredients to be able to or the money to be able to just try my hand at cooking things and maybe making mistakes. Whereas in the songwriting, you've just got whatever's in the upstairs paddock and, maybe an instrument or maybe just some ideas and things. And that's free. That's all you.
Yeah.
That no one needs to give you something for that. And that's 100% in here. It's just how you're interpreting your experiences and your stories. And then whatever the outlet, however many instruments or the quality of it is secondary, really, because it's you. And
also the feeling you get when you've wrote that song.
Yep.
God, it's the highest high what I could ever think, And I didn't need anybody's confirmation how good or bad that song was.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed writing, painting that picture, going, fuck it, that's really good, or that's okay, it needs work. And it's amazing how you can, unlike probably painting, you can come back and change your lyrics or change a melody just keep adding or change a chord structure or do something else. And you can grow something over probably months.
Yeah, the scope for iteration is sort of never ending, which can also be a curse. But like in this case, you've had the ability to bring these songs into this new age of you and what you're doing with the other guys. And it's like, wow, look at this new version.
Yeah. So again, lucky enough, instead of like you would imagine what not a normal band, but a conventional band, where they'll start writing and then they'll start gigging and then they've got a small number of songs which you want to gig with. Okay.
Yeah.
I've been lucky enough where I've got a really big back catalogue.
Of course, yeah.
And I go, right then, well, what songs go well together? How can I make this set something what's not just a combination of songs? How can I now make this set something like, hey, we're going to take you on a journey through this set. So the actual set is called The Soundtrack of Our Lives.
Okay, I love it.
And what happens is it talks around falling in love, talks about getting married and having kids, talks about getting financially, you need financial support, talks about infidelity, talks about really being solo and getting addicted to alcohol. Then moves on to really looking back and thinking and only looking back at the nice times what you used to have as a couple. So it's almost like the life cycle of love in the middle of a set. Does that make sense? So
that's fantastic.
Each song really is a story, and it's the soundtrack of our lives. And I can guarantee whoever comes to the gig will be in one of them songs.
That's it, exactly. And that's the other beauty of music. There's a lot of things that are circumstantial and there's just an ambiguity to a lot of elements of things, whereas you think about a movie has a narrative, and the narrative has representation and motifs, but the narrative is the structure. There's multiple storylines inside that narrative, but the narrative has been decided for you. Whereas in this case, the structure of the music has been decided for you.
Well, I've decided that.
Exactly. So you've decided that for me, the listener, but outside of that, I can decide to read in whatever I feel like from your words. There's very small parameters of what I have to acknowledge, is that's where the song starts and that's where it ends. And outside of that, it's up to me how I feel about it. Because you haven't decided the narrative that I have to absorb. This is a song about love, so get your love ears on, because that's what it's about. Well, maybe I think about it not being about love romantically. Maybe I see it as a relationship with my parents. Perhaps that's where I see it. there's no wrong answer. And once again, that's where we can bring people into music.
Yeah, definitely.
And what the project is going to involve when you get to showcase it live is to be like, come on board our journey of our lives together with us.
Yeah, definitely. It's different now. So when I was growing up, I used to get so excited about an album release coming out, and we used to be almost super fans around these huge Britpop bands, and then couldn't wait for that single, couldn't wait to see what that artwork was about, really delve down into the lyrics and really really understand. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But everything now, it feels like, I don't know if I'm just getting older, where it's just cut away, it's sort of shallow. Everything around the music industry is really shallow, where you go, okay, then I don't have that deep connection. Yep. So hopefully through the 3-year project, we're not going to be amazing on the first night. We're going to try and be, but watch us by we get to 100 gigs. You'll see us on that journey, and you'll see us grow. And then there'll be a bit of investment from you right the way moving forward and seeing where this journey is.
Of course.
So hopefully gives you a bit of depth into what the project is, instead of just this flyaway, hey, I really like that song. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And I think the other thing is, when you talk about that shallow nature, the shallow nature also extends into attendance and people's interest and ability to go to things and put themselves out there and make the effort and make the drive and buy the ticket and stuff. And as someone that is both a marketer for other things as well as the entertainment industry, but a muso, and then also on the venue side, what can I do, or what have I had to try and do to get people to come to not just see it as another time where there's a bunch of people standing on a stage strumming some instruments?
Yeah.
Because that happens every night.
Yeah.
But what's different? What is unique about the show? We're all playing different songs, so the songs is, as you say, it's not about, I really like this song, I promise you'll like it too. It's what is the overall reason you would want to be a part of this and be on this journey and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's where I think I've just loved being able to just get a snapshot just to start with of capturing what you got in mind. And you touched on where we are at gig 1 compared to gig 100. Tell me about the 100 gigs. What's the 100 gigs?
Before I answer that, let me tell you around what we're doing for the first gig.
Okay, sure.
And then we'll get to the 100 gigs. So, again, just to try and make it special. So what we're doing is, for every single gig, we're getting custom T-shirts made. Okay. And it's going to have, the first one's going to be on the precinct on the 21st of February. So it's going to have a big Nambour with a big number 1 on the back. Yeah. We're going to give you basically a business card, which has got a barcode on that business card. Scan that code, and then for 1 week only is your only chance you can get this T-shirt. It's a hidden place on our website. So the master plan is, when we are at Glastonbury in 100 gigs time. We're going to see loads of people in the crowd with all different number shirts on. With saying, hey, you was at Sydney, or you was here, and you was there, and wherever it is in the world. And have these custom T-shirts.
Fantastic.
Another thing what we're going to have is, every single gig, we're going to have a set list, and we've got an embosser, and we've got a serial number. So anybody who's available from gigs will have one of our set lists, and see how that changes throughout.
Cool.
And the first gig, we've got a videographer going, and there's quite a lot going on. And if you are there, you're coming to Glastonbury. So if you come to our first show, we're inviting you to come to Glastonbury. I'll pay for your Glastonbury ticket, and we'll dance on that main stage. I'll point you out on the crowd. You'll be on big pictures behind us.
With your number 1 shirt on.
With your number 1 shirt on. And it's going to be special.
That's fantastic.
So we'll pay for you to get into Glastonbury.
Then from there to the 100, why 100? Just because it was like, I need a cap it somewhere, or?
I wanted it to be, I want to climb my Everest, but I want to do it in strides. I don't want to do it in these mini steps. I want to make every single thing count. Does that make sense? And I've been thinking, well, if I did it in 150, that's 50 gigs per year. That's big ask. So I thought, well, it needs to be 100. In order to make it reasonable. Where I'm not going to get burnt out by the 120th. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Every single week. And also, what I want that vision where I can say, hey, I can sprint to 100 gigs. I can sprint to 3 years. Yeah. I can give it my all, and I won't get burnt out.
You know, I look at it when I think about the when I do advertising, and like some people use a daily budget and some people use a lifetime budget. It's like, well, you're using the lifetime budget, and your lifetime budget is 100. So everything is going to work inside that framework, as opposed to, well, we need to get gigs, and we know we want to get to there, so I suppose we just figure out how we can fill in the gaps. You're like, no. I know where the end result is. I know how many portions, how many pieces I'm cutting this up into. I'm cutting it up into 100 live pieces.
Yeah.
And then it's a psychological thing. Like all the best thinkers all know it, that as you make things more bite-sized, you achieve more. You do better.
Yeah.
It's objectively true.
I think 2 weeks ago we was working on our electronic press kit.
Yep.
So within our electronic press kit, it's available on our website. Just need to request it. And on the back sheet, it's got a plan of how we aim to get to Glastonbury. So we've done it in the quarters. So we're saying in quarter 2024, this is what we need to achieve. In Q1 of 2025, this is what we need to achieve. And we've done it each like that. And we're saying how many gigs we need to play within that quarter. Again, it just narrows your framework of your brain and saying, hey, this 3 months, these are the things I need to work on. Yep, if I work on these things in these 3 months, I will get to Glastonbury because the map's already there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. It's just about filling in the bits to facilitate that next step. It's not about, fuck, what's the next step?
Don't worry about
that.
Yeah.
And taking the guesswork out of that is brilliant. So was New Year's day one?
So no, New Year's Day was Glastonbury just gone in 2024.
So when was that?
So that was, I think, the 27th of July, around that time period.
Okay.
So I think I started in August. So it's not quite 3 years, but it's thereabouts. But I want the last gig to be at Glastonbury Pyramid Stage. Yeah.
Okay. So that's cool. So that puts into perspective as well for everyone else, where it's like, where are you at? Because I think the other thing is, in order to hold yourself accountable as well, is, oh no, day one was last week. Oh no, day one's the first show. Day one's the first real show. It's like, no, day one was then. We're on it. We're on the train. Are you hopping on? Are you hopping on the train with me? Because we're going.
And get on it as early as you can.
Yeah.
Because it's no good if you only got 1 month of this journey. You might as well try and get 2.5 years.
Exactly.
This journey.
Exactly, because it's all laid out in front of you. That's awesome. So from the UK to here, what happened in the bit between 16 to 21 music, and then after 21 no more? What, like you said, you travelled and stuff, and you started doing life at a more serious caliber. But like, what's brought you to the Sunshine Coast? Like, what's the gap between there?
So from, I think it was 22, we went travelling. Yep. So we went travelling around the world, and then came back to the north of England, where I'm from Clitheroe. And then basically trying to find a house. And then I started my career. So I'm a professional process safety engineer.
Okay, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen Deepwater Horizon or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Wahlberg. Yeah. Well, I go offshore and try and assess these big oil and gas facilities for Australia.
Okay, yeah.
And write reports and see how well they're doing with process safety.
Okay.
So last year, I think it was probably over $600 billion worth of assets I reviewed. And I also write standards.
Okay, yeah.
So I write international standards for Australia. So I met my wife almost straight after writing that album. I also broke my wrist. So as soon as I released that album, I broke my wrist playing football for me, soccer for you. And so I didn't play for a while. Then we decided to go travelling. So we travelled around the world for a year. And then come back, and we needed to find a house, and I needed a job.
Of course,
all the things of just growing up.
Of course.
And then I really advanced my career quite a lot.
Yeah.
So I decided I wanted to really be a specialist in an area of engineering.
Yeah.
And then decided to come over here to New Zealand to share my knowledge. Sorry, to Australia to share my
I
knowledge.
was going to say, you were worried about saying football and soccer. We've just lost half the audience because you called us New Zealand. But
We're going to have to cut that out.
yeah, exactly. It's all done in post. Don't worry about it.
So moving over to Australia,
But why?
So...
Or are you going to... Sorry, I don't know.
No, it's okay.
Be like, but why? Okay, we're not near anything. Like, why?
So because of all the big oil and gas, there was the
Sure.
LNG facilities in Gladstone.
Okay, yeah.
So I was in Manchester in my office, and I was asking my boss. I wanted to basically to go to a different office before my daughter was born, and he said, "Well, we do a thing called knowledge sharing, where you can take you and your partner and go basically to Houston, Singapore, or Brisbane. Pick whichever one of them, and then you can share your process safety experience with a local, and then try and get some work."
Okay.
So went home, that's my girlfriend,
And said, can we do exchange?
where do you want to go? We can go to Houston, we can go to Singapore, or we can go to Brisbane.
Yeah, okay.
So we decided to go to Brisbane, and we just fell in love with Brisbane. It was awesome.
Yeah. And you didn't touch Australia on the world tour?
We did, yeah.
Okay,
we
yeah.
spent probably 4 months here.
Okay, yeah.
And then, so we spent 3 months here in the middle of winter. So different than summer.
Yeah, yeah.
And we decided to emigrate. They offered us a full-time job, and they asked me to set up a new service line for process safety for the local office.
Yep.
So yeah, we did that. We moved over in April 2016, I think it was.
Okay, yeah.
And then since then, I've got involved in writing standards. So now I write international standards for Standards Australia, for Australia. And I assess all big oil and gas facilities, basically in Western Australia.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, some of the biggest facilities in the world, really. So that's really kept me very busy, as you can imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
There's been that, and I've got 3 beautiful children too.
Of course, the other life things.
Yeah, so-
exactly.
So all my kids are in school now, and my wife's working, and I just felt, well, it's just time a bit for me, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything's just been in a bit of a juggle and a whirlwind, and this finger was a bit of a wake-up call by saying, well, you might not be able to play the guitar in 5 years.
So why not have a go?
So I'm thinking, well, if I don't get these songs out, and if I don't do something with this music, there will just be paintings in my cupboard. So.
Yeah. One thing that I know anyone who is close to you would probably want to know, and it's a burning question I've had since the start, is what does the family think about it? Like the whole idea. Was there a bit of a laugh at the kitchen table, or was it like, all right, Sam, you just tell us what do you want from us? Sort of thing. Like,
well, the wider family,
Yeah.
my dad were like, hell yeah, give it a go, Sam.
And everyone's all in the UK
your
still?
boots. Yeah, so my
Yeah.
dad and my stepmom and my brothers and sisters. So yeah, they've all been like, hell yeah, just go for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just dream big, and you only get one life, and fill your boots.
yeah.
My daughter and my little boys have been like, yeah, daddy's cool. Been a rock star. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah, I love it.
Wife's like, I don't know. This is...
There we go. That's the one I was looking for.
This is, yeah. Are you sure we really want to do this?
Yeah.
She's, bless her, with having 3 little kids and me dedicating quite a lot of time
Into this,
is, I'm very grateful for getting the opportunity to do this.
Absolutely, yeah. So, are you the oldest in your family?
No, I'm the second oldest.
Okay, yeah. So what's everyone else's? Is anyone else musical in your family? Like, is there a musical?
So, my dad and my brother race sidecars. I don't know if you've heard of sidecars. Have you ever heard of an Alaman TT?
Oh, okay, yeah.
So my dad's races the Alaman TT, and he's won it twice.
Oh, wow, okay.
So he's really taught me some valuable life lessons around perseverance, dreaming big, just filling your boots, and just making the most out of life.
Yeah, there we go.
And having a right good red out goal, you know. So I take a lot of inspiration from what he's done. I'm a younger brother too. My older brother, who's now my older sister, It's a shame what she's when she was younger. Well, all through her life, she's really struggled with mental health issues. And one thing about this project, I do want to try and support mental health. So we want to try and give quite a lot of our profits to companies like Headspace.
Yep.
And we want to try and give that to the local community in which we play. So regardless of where we play, we're giving profits to these local communities.
Yep.
And we want to make a really big difference to any, where we play. And really focus on kids' mental health.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure if, as a family, we didn't really understand. And
very much so.
And
you're right at the cusp of that as well, like your generation, right at the cusp of that. What are we talking about? Are you, hang on, I don't really understand, rejected because it's different sort of vibe. Whereas for me, in school, it was talked about. So I was just at that different precipice of age where it's changed and everyone's like, it's just expected that you would be awake to these sorts of things, and that the human body is made up of two parts, not just your bones. There's what happens in your brain as well, and that's just as important. And that's a luckiness that I've had to have just been a little bit later on in life. Yeah.
So if we can try and support, and if we can try and get that message out and help others, I feel like the project's all the better for it.
Absolutely. I think the other thing for me when Penny first put us together about this was, I wasn't sure if this was a cool idea you had because maybe you'd had a perspective moment, or like you've now told me it's like that arthritis thing, but whether it's some sort of health thing or whether it's a death in the family or just someone who inspired you or you just woke up in the morning. I wasn't sure necessarily where it came from, but one thing you mentioned to me that made me see this so much bigger is that you talked about the 3-year project then becoming a roadmap for other goals, for other people.
Yeah, 100%.
So go through that. Tell me a bit more about that.
So I don't own the 3-year project.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is I'm collecting all this knowledge and putting all this energy into something. And then and really trying to inspire people to dream big no matter what age, okay? And then try and understand these building blocks about how do you get to whatever Everest you want to climb.
Yeah.
So if it is Everest, or if it's whatever you want to be, okay, just understand, hey, these are the building blocks. This is how you do it. This is how this process works, and define this process. And then after the 3 years, I'm just going to give it all up. It's like Willy Wonka giving it to Charlie.
Yeah. It's like, this is the 3-year project.
This is the 3-year project, and then this is yours now. And this is all the contacts. This is the Instagram. This is the Facebook. This is absolutely everything. You climb your mountain, whatever that mountain is.
Yeah.
And then we'll follow someone else on that journey. And that's why within our symbol, we've got 3-year project and 3-year project. So it's a continuous, self-perpetuating 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
And we just want to just show people how to grow and how to, instead of just living this not mundane life, it's trying to live a remarkable life. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And do something remarkable with your life. And saying, well, if a guy with 3 kids and a very high pressure job can dream as big as Everest and put all this effort in, well, surely I can as well. So.
Yeah, and I think there's definitely something to the just the idea of the dream. I think that is a big thing. People don't even allow themselves that.
Yeah.
So to even just be inspired to allow yourself that, and to be like, you know what, I'm going to have a bat, or even just have that conversation. I think about that when I talk with Erin. I think about the big picture things. You know, the fact we're sitting across from each other comes from me wanting to do what I love, which is be in the entertainment industry and be behind the kid and be amongst creatives like you, and hopefully monetize that, and having a plan to, before I go to the US at the end of the year, to be able to do that. And suddenly it's, you know, not to date this too bad, but suddenly it's January and I'm in that position. And here's me thinking it was going to be a 12-month process that I was going to slowly burn, and I didn't quite have the roadblocks of the 100 gigs. I had the roadblock of Glastonbury. I was like, I know what it's going to look like at the end, but I genuinely don't know what it's going to look like in the middle.
No.
And suddenly the middle got very small and all ended up at the start, and suddenly I was like, okay, crap, I can make this happen because I had a go, because I knew roughly somewhere down the line what would having a go look like? And
Yeah,
so I
okay.
think for people to have an inspiring source, whether it's music or otherwise, of someone that says, I have a go and this is what it looks like.
Yeah.
Especially someone that's not like, I quit all 7 of my jobs and I haven't been doing anything for ages and suddenly I came into all this money and I've decided to do this. It's like, oh, so no responsibility, money's not a problem and no objectivity sort of affecting you. Of course you had to go. What else were you going to do? Whereas, as you said, you got the family, you got the job, you've got a life that you have to keep making
As
happen
well.
in between.
Yeah.
And you've also not just got a bit of a hobby, you've got no mean feat in front of you. And suddenly it's like, yeah, and I'm having a bat. And that's a big thing. I was very inspired just by the idea of you having a bat. Like, and then hearing more about the story and the perpetual 3-year project has just made me love it more. But yeah, I just want to say that I think that's something that I can comfortably say for everyone listening or watching, that more people having a go. They talk about the amount of dopamine that gets released when you have a great idea or you say something big and stuff like that. It's often like 80% of that comes from the big announcement and then doing it afterwards,
Yeah.
Oh, I might have a go, actually. You know what, I might have a go.
Yeah,
and
cool.
being able to do that in the shows and say, the reason we're all standing here and you're watching me play is this. And suddenly it's like, oh, wow, I'm not just seeing a couple of guys have a strum. This is a big deal.
Yeah. Try and...
No pressure.
Try and fulfill their boots. One thing what was difficult, though, is then reassessing where you were. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
By having this big Everest to climb and going, well, am I at base camp already?
Yep.
Or am I way down in Nepal? I've got absolutely no idea.
Yep.
So that first rehearsal with these session musicians, and these guys can play their instruments like you would not believe. And I was like, wow, I've got a long way to go, even just to get close to these boys.
But I've definitely picked the right resources.
So I am the weakest link in all this. I know I am, right? So I know what. Hey, if it's going to fail, it's going to be on my effort and my attitude.
Okay.
So then it was like, okay, then I need to make sure what these songs are solid. Yeah.
Yep.
I need to make sure what I know these songs like the back of my hand, where I don't even have to think about the lyrics or the chords or whatever it is what I'm doing. And then, so that was the first few weeks, was really getting them to learn the songs and dealing with demons in me by going, hey, I'm not good enough. And listening to my vocals on some of the tracks and going, wow, you're really pitchy, Sam. Or, wow, your fingers you're playing so bum notes, you're not in time, you're doing all this, self-analyze and go, man, you've got a lot of work to do. But it's really just thinking, right, next week I'm going to get better. Yep. What am I going to do this week? I'm going to work on I'm just going to sing every day.
Yep.
I'm going to play my guitar absolutely every day. I'm going to record these guys and then I can do it without them. So instead of only practicing once a week, now we've recorded them and I can practice the set every single day.
Yep.
I go to the studio and then I rehearse like I'm gigging. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. You rehearse the performance.
Performance, what to say in between songs and how much gap between songs, and just get that confidence around actually performing instead of just playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So to start with, it was like all stood in a circle, as you can imagine, just a practice room.
Yeah.
And then watching each other and
getting a feel for the people, because the people is such a big element of this,
And then feeling very inferior of my abilities compared to everybody else's. And then slowly but surely, what it started to gel, I've had a really good mind coach as well, who's been really helping me with confidence and understanding me and getting rid of my limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
So using basically all these limiting factors which I've got, trying to address them head on and go, right then, well, if that's the issue, what do we need to do? And how do we get over that obstacle?
Yeah.
And then I know it's not going to happen overnight. We need to keep going, and this is a roadmap to get that obstacle, not an obstacle. And then just work through things like that. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, totally.
So where I feel like we are now is the band have really not played since December.
Okay, yeah.
But I've been going to the studio at least every week and then been learning the set without them, playing there like they are behind me, a video camera watching me perform and self-analyzing me of my performance. And then, like I say, it's not just the songs, it's what to say in between the songs and how to move and all sorts of things.
Yeah, the whole picture.
So just trying try and run or make big steps instead of just little steps. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So the first gig can't be any more prepped.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the idea. And then and then it'll be something else, like we're getting a film crew there, self-analyze what's good around or bad with the first gig, and we're going to make the second gig 100 times better than the first gig.
Exactly.
And just make it as bigger, better every single time, you know?
Yeah.
So, remembering what this is only gig 1.
Exactly.
And know what gig 100, and I need to be the best I can possibly be at gig 100.
Yep.
And then shutting the door on it and handing it over to somebody else.
Yeah, which is such a cool and makes the whole thing even more unique. The whole process is already pretty unique, but it just makes it even more unique to be like, and then I'll give the keys away to the next project, which is so cool and so unique, I suppose, to the whole thing that most people get to this thing. And in the music industry in particular, there is a large emphasis on I need to get success or whatever, but 9 people out of 10 in a line don't actually know what that means.
Yeah.
Because they haven't necessarily been shown, or they don't necessarily have any understanding themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's not actually clear what success is, because it's, what do you want to achieve? Do you want to play big shows? Do you want to make lots of money? Do you want to have lots of streams? Do you want to be famous? What are all the things? What do you believe success looks like? Because everything that makes up the show and that makes up like the songs or whatever people write, a lot of times they don't know what that success looks like. Whereas because you've got the whole thing wrapped up in a bow, so to speak, it's like, okay, well, this is what I want to achieve. This is what I want to achieve it by, and then that's that. Like, I suppose the other side I'd like to get the idea from is like the family have their thoughts, but what do the band think? I feel like you've got to be super on board, and it's someone that plays in a band that doesn't just sing, pop rock love songs and things. Like the Justice Trio is very much a band about message and about, making it through, and, life isn't the easiest thing in the book, but it's worth it. And here's all the positivity and promoting that idea of a mantra of, peace and love and rugged determination and stuff like that sort of thing. What do the band think of what this all is?
They think it's crazy, as you can imagine. And they're super excited, and they really like the songs. Well, that's what they tell me anyway. I think we're just looking forward to seeing where this actually ends up. Yeah. And see if we can actually fulfill this, because it'd be something special if we do.
Absolutely. I want to know more about, so what's happening at the precinct then? So for Feb 21.
Yep.
Shows, where can everyone find that? Where can everyone get the information they need for that to make sure they can? Because tickets are available now, I assume?
Yeah, so if you jump on my Instagram or my Facebook or whatever, you'd see, you might have to look through the reels to find out where the tickets are.
Yeah.
I'm not very good with social media, and this is one thing what I really need to learn around and need some support with. So I'm sure if you want to come to the gig, right, and if you can't find the information, just turn up.
Exactly. Yeah. It'll definitely be on the 21st of Feb.
Yeah, at 7 o'clock. We've got an amazing support act. Jacob Turner is only 15 and is just an amazing guitarist.
Wow. Okay.
And then we're getting it properly filmed, and then this film is then going to be used for video, local news and promotion around that.
Yeah. So without putting the mozzie on it, is this your first going to be like your first live show since New Zealand?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And I probably did 3 open mic nights in my life before now. So I don't really. I'm different now because I talk at conferences and do other things.
It's not like
so it's not like I'm
like
nervous.
That. It's just more how many runs on the board in front of an audience actually.
Absolutely not. We again, just to try and help. On Monday we're getting a few people down at the studio to watch me on my own perform the set. Yep. And just really help me critique myself to make me the best version I possibly can for the precinct.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic.
And then on Wednesday, we're getting the band back together.
Fantastic.
So we're going to do a rehearsal set with the band again. And then next week, we are recording our first single.
Fantastic.
So at the studio, which is going to be really good. And then we're looking like March, we're going to do a single release somewhere. And we're just working through that now.
Fantastic. Well, plug all the places you want to plug, the studio, what your socials are, what you're doing. Tell everyone where they can find you. That's the next thing, I suppose.
Yeah, so if you go on the website, 3yearproject.com, you should find, it's quite a good source of knowledge. You'll find a bit of a backstory around what the 3-year project is. Yeah. You can meet the band members. We've got 3 bar lines. One of them shows you where we are in time.
Yep.
We've got another bar to say how many gigs we're up to. And we've got another one, how much money we've donated to mental health.
Fantastic.
So
okay.
You can follow that as we go along.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then another thing, what we've got is the backstory around me and why the project. Mm-hmm. And then what we have is another blog around really the soundtrack of our lives, going through each song and what it means and why the order is so special.
Yep.
So you can read about the set before you actually come to our show, which is pretty cool. And then we've got a bit of a blog around what happens next and about supporting that next dreamer, basically.
Awesome.
And then there's some merch on there too. So,
fantastic.
So the website's probably the easiest place. And then that points to
everything.
Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and TikTok and all the places. Else.
Fantastic. Yeah. Well, I only hope the best for some sort of discovery to happen. You know, for TikTok and all those things, I would love something to just grab you and just zoom you ahead in a way, because there's something very special here, and it's it starts here, and I'm excited to be in at the ground floor. And you better believe I'll have my number 1 shirt on in Glastonbury.
Brilliant.
In what, 2027?
2027, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and thanks for the opportunity to do this and talk around this journey.
No, absolutely. It's just it's very much a community, not a competition, and what you're trying to do epitomizes that, because you want to build all of the different sources to help one another, and then to pass it off. It couldn't be less of a vanity project. It's absolutely a goal for you, and the most vain part of it is that I reckon I can do it, and I want to prove that I can do it. But it's just about all the awesome people you get to meet along the way, all the support you're going to get along the way, and all the good you're going to do giving back along the way, which is especially important for you. So there's a lot of people, as I said, there's a lot of people that get up and play songs, but this is something different.
Yeah. This is how to dream big, and prove what you can dream big no matter what age.
Yes, I love that. That's a nice thing to end on. Well, guys, that's another episode of the Ask Muso podcast. Get amongst everything Sam's doing, because, you know, as you said, if you're going to be on the journey, you don't want to be on the journey with 1 month to go. You want to be on the journey at the start. Besides, he's promising free tickets. You'd be silly not to. So the Precinct, Feb 21, make sure you're there. Let's sell this place out for him. Let's make it really go, because he deserves it. And, all the usual places to find him and me, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all the places you can find this. And make sure you check out the 3yearproject.com.
Yep.
And as always, guys, until next time, I'll see you later.